So
Right.
we can kind of
Let's get
kick it off.
started then, because
Okay.
I always have lots of material to cover, but we're on a tight deadline, so that forces me to be concise. I'm honored to be here speaking for ISSA Residential. Thank you, Erin, for thinking about me. This is the perfect time for this topic we're talking about today, done by design. We all have big dreams and big plans, but we usually spend the whole year trying to get stuff done, and by the end of the year, we're not as happy as we would like to be at the results. So not everybody knows my background with ISSA. Why the heck should you listen to me? What does this lady know about anything, especially when it comes to the cleaning industry? I am ISSA Residential's first female president. Back when we were a standalone organization, we actually had a president of the association. I've been with ISSA now for over 20 years, started the nonprofit Cleaning for a Reason, and now I serve on the ISSA Charities Board as well as the ISSA Big Board, as we call it. And so I've been very involved in ISSA for the last 20 years. I love it, and if you are not involved, you should get involved, and we'll talk more about that later. I started out cleaning houses like many of you in the residential cleaning industry, and I did the cleaning myself for 8 long years. Type into the chat if that's how you started your business, even if you don't clean anymore, just type in the word clean if that's how you started your business. So many of us started that way. Then I got the harebrained idea that I'd like to move from being a cleaner to an owner. I wanted to move from owning a job to owning a business. And that's where I got the harebrained idea to start hiring. How hard could that be, right? I struggled for 14 years trying to grow a business. From 8 years of cleaning, 6 more years of struggling and trying to figure out how to find the right people, how to train them the right way, how to keep them from quitting, and all the chaos that goes along with not really having a system, but just going forward. In 1997, I hired a business coach. Actually, it was a consulting firm. And what took me 14 years to only get halfway to, in 9 months, by 1998, they got me to $1 million. In 1998, that was like a $2 million cleaning business. I had no idea that that put me in the top 1% of the country. Of course, I wanted more time freedom. I had this big business. It was successful, making lots of money, but I didn't want to work all the time. And that's really what it took. I had to work all the time. Long story short, I stayed stuck in the $1 million range for about 20 years as I was building a blueprint, a framework, a process, which Libby alluded to is the very blueprint, framework, and process she follows. That's why she has so much time freedom to build software businesses, to write a book, to lead ISSA Residential. I wanted a framework for time freedom for the owners. So I retired over a dozen years ago. I was able to get my team following my blueprint to our business being over $4 million a year and 100% self-running. So I'm still retired. If you're wondering why you should listen to me, you should listen to people who have done what you're hoping to do, who have achieved what you're trying to achieve. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but in all likelihood, we have something for you that you're not doing. Here's the thing. It isn't that the industry is broken. It isn't that there's something wrong with the economy. The economy is always going to go up and down. It has nothing to do with the labor market. It's always going to go up and down. It's me when my business can't achieve the goals that I've set, especially year after year. So if you've been stuck for 6 months or more, it's not the economy, it's not the labor, it's not your cheap competition, it's not the election, it's not the pandemic. If you've been stuck for 6 months or more, you just need to grow yourself to another level. And so today I'm going to talk about how my done by design goal achievement process works. And of course, I learn from other people. None of us make up the magic. We learn the magic. And so a lot of this today was inspired by Dan Martell and James Clear. You can read Atomic Habits. You can read some of Dan Martell's books, Buy Back Your Time. But a lot of these things you can get, but then it's a little bit harder to apply to a cleaning business. So let's just dive in. The core philosophy is to focus on becoming the type of person who achieves your goals rather than focusing on the outcomes themselves. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. So first and foremost, there's 3 levels of change that have to take place. True behavior change requires an inside out approach that starts with your beliefs, and your identity. Most of us start with the problem. We start with the goal. We start with the outcome. And very few of us start with these levels of change, the identity and the process. So first and foremost, the identity. This is the deepest level of change in your identity, what you believe about yourself, what you believe is possible. So many times people's identity doesn't match their goals. That deepest level of change is your sense of self and your own personal beliefs. It's amazing how our beliefs are broken. And when we change our beliefs, we take off and we hit that first big goal. I had a broken belief back in 1997. Unemployment in my area was 1.9%. If you watch the Labor Bureau of Statistics and unemployment statistics online, you will learn that it's not 1.9 in this country, but that was what unemployment was. It was so low, nobody wanted a job. And I truly believed all of my problems stemmed from the super low unemployment. Everybody that's employable was already working. Well, my belief was wrong. And when my belief broke, boom, I grew my business. I added dozens of employees over the next few years. So your habits are how you embody your identity. The goal is to become the person that has $1 million business. The goal is to become a $3 million leader, not to reach $3 million or $4 million or $5 million. So that identity has to shift. The goal is to become a runner, not run a marathon. The goal is to become fit and physically healthy, not lose 30 pounds. You see the difference? I want my identity to shift. I remember the when my identity shift from being a cleaner to a business owner. Used to in the early days, people would say, "What do you do?" when they would meet me. And I would say, "I clean houses." But there was a period where I stopped cleaning houses. I was managing and hiring people. When I met someone new and they said, "What do you do?" I said, "I own a cleaning business." I no longer said I clean houses. My identity shifted. The next level is your system of habits and routines. This is where you focus on the 4 laws of behavior change. And I'll go over that in just a second. The process is as important as anything else, not just the goal or the outcome itself. And then number 3, if you want to have change happen, you do have to have very specific outcomes. Like, I want to hit $1 million someday. I want to stop doing the cleaning and have staff someday, right? Those are outcomes, but it is your most surface level for any kind of change to actually happen. And it's where most people start, and it's where most people fail. So outcome-based goals focus on what you get, not who you become. I want to be the owner of $1 million cleaning business, who never cleans and manages happy staff who love what they do and don't keep quitting. Don't focus on the outcome itself alone. At each level of goal achievement, you have to adopt these 3 levels each time because your identity keeps changing. The process might not change much. It may change some for you, and the outcomes, of course, are going to change. So let's talk about those 4 laws of behavior change. I'm pretty sure I got this one from Dan Martell, who got some of them from James Clear, but 4 levels of behavior change, how to manipulate your environment and the cues to build new habits. If you take nothing away from today, take this away. Habits are how you reach your goals, not intentions, not inspiration, not motivation. And why do I say that? Because I do lots of motivational speeches. I do lots of motivational, inspirational talks. So it's not that those are irrelevant. Those are not going to help you reach your goals. They might help you start. They won't help you finish. What will help you finish and will help you reach your goals are the habits that you put into place. So let's dive in. Number 1, make it obvious. Now, these are going to seem simple, but if you're not doing all 4, it is why you're not reaching your goals in the time you wish you would reach them. So number 1, make it obvious. For example, don't just say, "I want to lose 30 pounds. Make it obvious. I'm going to exercise 30 minutes a day at 6 a.m. in my living room, or I'm going to work out 30 minutes a day with a personal trainer at XYZ gym, or I'm going to join Orange Theory, attend their 6:30 a.m. class and work out for an hour." You have to make it obvious. Design your environment for success. The way I design my environment for success, when that stupid alarm goes off 6 a.m. and I got to go to Orange Theory, the night before I put my workout shoes, my workout socks, my workout outfit, my wristband, and my towel, and I refill my water bottle waiting for me in the refrigerator, and I set it in the kitchen. So I don't make excuses like, oh, I don't want to wake up my husband. It's kind of cold and I'm running a little late. You've got to design your environment. So think about when you want to break a habit of constantly checking your phone when you're supposed to be spending time with your family. You change your environment, you make it obvious, go put it in another room so that your kids aren't constantly reminding you, hey, I'm talking, and you're checking the last text that came in. Number two, I love this one. Make it attractive. If you want to reach your goals, you have to make them attractive. Too often, we make our goals unattractive. So pair your goals with something you like or something you love. Pair a desired action, like working out, with a necessary one. I love listening to books, podcasts, or watching true crime stories. I don't know why, I just love them. So a gift to me for working out, let's say you're going to walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes, is to listen to your true crime that you don't normally have time for, or your favorite podcast or comedians. Pair it with something you enjoy so it's not just drudgery. How do you pair that for business? Join a culture where your desired behavior is the norm. This is why you come to coffee and conversations. This is why you join ISSA Residential. You're joining a culture that all has the same goals and ambitions, and that is not to sit on our laurels and not reach our goals, right? So join a culture where you're surrounded with people who are moving in the same direction as you. At CBF, we have masterminds, cohorts, twice a month coaching calls and trainings. If you don't join the culture, your old habits will slip back in. I'm too busy to learn. I'm too busy to read a book. I'm too busy to show up. Show up for ISSA Residential Convention. Get registered and show up. Join a culture. It makes this whole business of working hard to reach our goals and dreams a lot more fun. And then you've got to reframe your mindset to make it attractive. In other words, focus on the benefits of your habits rather than the downside. I could be thinking about and focusing on, I got to get up early tomorrow. I need to go to bed. Or I could be reframing it. I'm going to feel good all day tomorrow. I'm not going to beat myself up like I did the day before because I got my workout in early and didn't procrastinate. So you see the difference, just make it attractive. Instead of thinking, oh, but it's expensive. I got to pay for my flight and I've got to get my hotel and oh, it really adds up. Make it attractive. If I attend ISSA Residential this year, and I promise you guys, this is not an infomercial for ISSA, but I'm helping you make it attractive to reach your goals. If I spend $2,000 on travel, hotel, meals, registration, think instead of the cost, think, man, for $2,000, I'm going to get closer to reaching my goal. I'm going to get to my $2 million maid service business goal faster than I would have staying home and struggling on my own and not getting one or two of my biggest problems solved. And then number three, make it easy. Here's the problem we all have is we make things too hard, so we end up not doing them and giving ourselves a pass because we didn't have time or we didn't have the energy or whatever. We have to make it easy. We have to reduce the friction, make it as easy as possible to start that new habit. Go join the gym because then you'll feel guilty not showing up because you're paying for something, right? Go hire that fitness coach. Go buy your plane ticket now. Because the longer you wait, the easier it is for you to talk yourself out of buying it. If you don't buy your plane ticket now, it's so much easier 2 weeks before when you're like, oh, I should go. You check the rates. You're like, oh, no, they're double. I can't afford it. We have to make it easy for ourselves, or we set ourselves up for failure. Make it easy by automating your habits. In other words, make one decision. I am going to ISSA, or I am joining CBF, or I am going to read one book a month. You need to automate your habits so that you only have to make one decision and you lock in the behaviors around the decisions you made. So, I'm joining the gym now. I'm hiring that personal trainer. I'm booking my flights, my hotel. I'm picking out my 10 books and I will order one a month automatically. Make it easy. And then lastly, make it satisfying. As entrepreneurs, we are so driven that as soon as we reach one goal or one milestone, no matter how hard we struggled, our knees are bloody, crawling up this mountain of success. When we hit that goal, what do? You finally hit $30,000 a month and you're like, that's awesome. 42,000 a month is my next goal. I want to be a $500,000 maid service, right? Or $83,000 a month. I want to be a million. Like we're already chasing our next goal and we don't stop and reward ourselves. I'm a big believer you reward yourself immediately after completing a goal. Maybe the goal is to work out 30 minutes a day and the reward is 30 minutes of coffee and quiet time to myself, doing nothing, right? Maybe that's just my simple reward for working out 30 minutes a day. And if I don't work out, I don't get coffee and quiet time. Or after 30 workouts in a row in 30 days, I will reward myself with a massage. I mean, everybody's different. Maybe to reward yourself for booking your flights, your hotel, and getting registered, your reward is I'm going to upgrade myself to first class, at least on the first leg, right? I am a firm believer that when you establish new habits and reach new goals and hit new milestones, you must reward yourself. I think James Clear, maybe it's tiny habits I'm thinking about. They call it little celebrations, big and small. For some of you, when we hit $1 million, we're taking a trip to Europe for 2 weeks and we're not checking in with the team. For some of you, it's when I hit this level, I won't be coming in on Fridays anymore. You need to create rewards so that you are really hungry and thirsty. And your rewards should be tied to something meaningful that's tied to your why. Like, I'm going to take my family to Disney World when we reach this goal. Use habit trackers so you know exactly where you are at every stage of your goals. If you fall behind, you can jump in and work harder to reach that milestone this week or this month or this quarter. I know in CBF, we call it the business snapshot. It is to be filled out every single week using your dashboards, using your spreadsheets, or using pen and paper or pencil. We fill out the business snapshot every week and then summarize it every month so everybody can see, am I on track? Am I off track? Have I allowed bad habits to creep back in to my business? And so create these habit trackers and then create a habit contract, have an accountability buddy, join a coaching program, get into a cohort, join a mastermind, even having weekly level 10 meetings in your own business with your own team. Every week I have a level 10 meeting. Well, I'm not going to show up to my level 10 meeting going, I have no idea what our sales were last week. I have no idea what our customer churn was last week. I'm not sure how many employees we have or how many recurring. I would never show up for a meeting like that. But if we don't have that as a habit contract that forces us to be ready, and then once we're ready, it forces us to go, oh, I'm behind or I'm ahead, or it's time to reward myself, or it's time to hunker back down and stop letting old habits creep back in, like playing on Facebook every day before I start my day, right? All those things keep us in check. So number 4 is make it satisfying. It is so important for those 4 steps in achieving our goals. And then lastly is that goal setting achievement framework. First and foremost, there's 5 things to get your goals done by design. Number 1, give yourself permission to dream. Many of you are settling for what, if only I could clean fewer houses and have my staff do more. If only I could only clean 1 day a week when there's a first time clean. You need to reset your dream. Give yourself permission to dream. Hey, I don't ever want to clean again. I want to build $1 million or a $2 million maid service, and I want to be able to take time off with my family and not feel guilty. Give yourself permission to dream. And then focus on your standards. What is acceptable and unacceptable? In the early days, for me, it was acceptable to drop everything and go out and clean a house when somebody quit without notice. It finally became unacceptable. My new standard was I don't go out and clean for any reason whatsoever. The whole company can fall apart. I will not clean because that was why my company wasn't growing, as I was always the crisis relief cleaner in the field. So I had to set new standards to live by. And then unlock your resources. Show up on these calls. I'm hoping today is a game changer for you. Show up on the next conversation, coffee and conversations. In other words, use the resources you have. We have not because we don't use them. Make sure you celebrate the journey so you don't burn out. You don't get discouraged and you're not chasing the next goal before you took time to celebrate the goal you just hit. Connect to your triggers. Surround yourself in the right environment with the right people. Maybe it's a room or going to a coffee shop once a week to write out your goals or next week's plan and quarterly actions to reach your big goal. Maybe it's moving from one place in your home, right? Instead of the living room where you're tempted by a television to a thinking room or your official office. Connect to those triggers that keep you focused. And when you do these things and you don't falter on them, I promise you it is next to impossible for you not to reach your goals. So Aaron, before I open it up for Q&A, and you guys can ask me anything, whether it has to do with goals, I'm going to share with you a tool. Tell me if you see my ideal future goal achievement reverse engineered steps. Do you see that? Oh, good. It's my PDF.
Yes.
I'll send this to anybody who wants it. Support at debbiesardone.com. I would encourage each and every one of you to print this off today. Reaching goals starts with habits. And I would complete this before you come to ISSA and ISSA residential. I want you to think about your ideal future, and I want you to give yourself permission to take 25 years to get there. That way you don't sell yourself short with low goals. Just give yourself 25 years to get there. Think about, where do I want my business to be in 25 years and my life? And write that down. And then in 36 months, I would need to do what? Some of you, it's like, I want 10 locations by 25 years. Great. What do you need to do over the next 3 years to have 10 locations in 25 years, which you might be able to do in 10 or 15, right? And then in 1 year, I will do what in order to reach my ideal future? And then focus on these standards: new identity. What's the standard I need to hold myself accountable to? Many of you show up at 10 a.m., you're out of the office by 4 p.m., and you're goofing off in the middle of the day with social media. You're never going to reach big, hairy, audacious goals until you up-level your identity and your personal standards and habits. And then what resources do I need to tap into? Coaching groups, masterminds, ISSA, other books, tools. And then how will I celebrate the win? A trip to Europe, weekly manicures when I no longer clean. I mean, what is it? How am I going to celebrate the win? And then how will I connect my triggers? And if you'll fill this out before you go to ISSA and keep in mind your big goal, you won't get distracted by all these little things that people are doing. You're like, oh, I should do that. And then you hear another talk. Oh, I should do that. And then you hear another talk, and you're all distracted, going in a million directions. And the things you're implementing are fun, but they don't get you any closer to your goals. Use this to guide what you filter and the classes you sign up for and the workshops you attend. It'll help you reach your goals. And then rewrite this on the plane on your way back home, because I promise you your goals will shift. What maybe started out to be really low goals after having great high-level conversations with people who passed you up ages ago, your goals might shift. You might realize your beliefs were broken. Your glass ceiling really isn't where you think it is. And you might rewrite your ideal future completely as a result of coming back from ISSA. It was a trip coming back from ISSA residential, back then we called it ARCSI, where I rewrote my ideal future. I rewrote what I wanted, and I would never have done this if I hadn't attended that conference. I realized I wanted a bigger purpose for my life other than growing a cleaning business and making more money and struggling with these knucklehead employees that keep quitting. I knew I wanted a bigger, better future. And that was when the idea of forming the nonprofit Cleaning for a Reason came about as a result of attending ISSA. There wasn't anybody or any talk that had anything to do with cause marketing. In fact, the next year I came back with a talk on cause marketing to really uplift and inspire and motivate people to join Cleaning for a Reason. I rewrote my future on the plane that day. And since then, my future looks very different than the one I thought I wanted. So guys, what do you need to do to rewrite your future and then take steps to achieve it, instead of goof off for 24 years and then in the 25th year look back and go, I'm so disappointed, I never reached my goals. I don't want that for you. Man, I wish I had 25 years more. I got a list of stuff I would do, but I'm not doing them now. So guys, Aaron, I'll be happy to open it up for Q&A and see what people need and see if I can help.
One quick tip, guys, is today's October 2nd. It's the start of the fourth quarter. So, what better time to reset your goals to enter 2026 the way you want to, right? With intention. So, great time to print this out. Even if you take her goal sheet and compress it to say, what do I want to do just in 3 months so that I can enter 2026 the right way and then fill that 25-year goal out.
And if you want this tool, because I really want you to fill it out before you attend ISSA, just put in the subject line goals and send it to support@debbiesardone.com and we'll send that tool to you. Any questions around goals? Any struggles, frustrations? Debbie, yeah, but any yeah buts?
I didn't see any. I was monitoring the chat and I was putting in your tips 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if anybody missed
Thank
those
you.
tips, I put them in the chat. Cindy said that when everyone was saying, are you in the field or did you start in the field? She said for her, that's a dream is to get out of the field. Sometimes she has one helper. If she's lucky, that's a dream for her to get out of the field. I
That's
don't think it
awesome,
was,
Cindy.
I think I might have the name wrong.
She can identify and put her name in. This really applies to every business owner who doesn't clean. Once you master something and you're really good at it, it's time for you to delegate. From cleaning to hiring to marketing, we need to fire ourselves at every stage once we master it, once we've created a repeatable, proven process to clean a home very fast, out excellently, and then it's time to hire. So you have to turn this dream into a process, an identity shift, and some new habits, because otherwise it could remain a dream for another decade. I can't tell you how many business owners I talk to that are still cleaning 10 years into their business when they should have stopped cleaning 3 to 6 months into their business. You can put down the mop in 90 days. I don't care if you've been cleaning for 5 years or 10 years. So it starts with a new identity. I don't clean homes. Right now, I temporarily help out until I have enough people to delegate, but I am a business owner. And then you have to put into action, set aside the fear, hire 2 people, start handing off your work, and go market like a crazy woman. Go do as much marketing and sales as you can. Don't worry, well, what if I don't have enough staff? So what? Put them on a list and just do it. We keep dreaming about it, but now we have to do it. I have a 90 days mop free program that's killer, but if you just map out the next steps and then make those steps a habit instead of a dream, and then commit to those steps and surround yourself with triggers to keep you from breaking your habits, you'll be out of the
So
field in a few months.
we don't have any questions, Debbie, but I have a tip for everybody. I probably joined CBF at one of the lowest times of my life, going through some issues. And just like everybody else, you don't think you're worthy, or you don't think you can get there, or you don't think you're smart enough or good enough, or you can just stack
I'm
all those
seeing an
things.
identity shift in you like I've never seen in anybody. It's incredible.
And so, one tip for everybody, Debbie said it over and over, and I've been doing this, but it's so simple that it's going to catch you off guard. Like what I do, I literally have a persona of who Libby is, and it's on a Google Doc. And every time I get to the next level, I create the new persona and I have triggers. Why do you guys think I have a hat on all the time? It's a trigger of who I need to show up. The earrings I wear every time I have a hat on is a trigger of who the new version of Libby needs to be to achieve the 10x. So it's not that I'm living a lie. It's just that I put it on a piece of paper of who I want to be.
Well,
And I
your new
know,
identity. You're like,
yeah.
I'm not old Libby that was
Mhm.
broke or went and did house checks on her way home from the hospital with the newborn. I'm not that Libby anymore. And, some people can't always identify, like, well, I don't have a hat or I don't wear hats. That's not the point. I
Mm-mm.
remember when I decided I was a business owner and I don't jump out in the field and help when somebody quits, I bought a briefcase. Now, that was
See, a
back in the
trigger.
90s, right? That was back in the 90s when people carry
Uh,
briefcases
I'm
if
like,
you were
what's a briefcase?
successful. Right. If you were successful. Back then, it was a black leather briefcase. You have to be old enough to remember that, right? If you were in the service industry and you got your fingernails dirty, you didn't carry a briefcase. But I bought a female briefcase. It wasn't black leather, it had flower print, and it changed my identity. I started coming to work in high heels and a blazer instead of in tennis shoes, jeans, and my work shirt. Used to, if something happened, I'd have to run out and go help clean. Libby calls them triggers. When you change your identity, you are saying, I am no longer a house cleaner. I am no longer a broke business owner. I am an authority in my space. I am a successful businessman or woman. You've got to surround yourself with triggers, people, habits, and an environment that makes it easy.
The triggers can be anything for anybody.
Yeah,
Like Debbie, it was high heels and maybe the briefcase. Mine is a hat and a whole ritual of how I get ready. The ritual literally takes 5 minutes. The more you get into that persona of who you need to be, the more it becomes automatic.
exactly.
And the more and more you show up that way all the time, it's not inherent. So it's creating those habits.
Any other comments, questions in the chat before we wrap?
No, Erin, do we want to go to breakout rooms? We can have a room for Debbie and then the new members. I know we have a handful of first timers.
If you do a breakout for me, I'm happy to answer any question business-wise, so it doesn't have to be goal related. Like, how do you find good workers? Or how do you do marketing? Or how do you compete with competition? So if I'm in a breakout, I'm happy to help with anything, all things cleaning business related.
Before we do that, I think Alejandra, we had some announcements before we start wrapping things up.
We wanted to remind everybody about the Vegas show. I think Erin's gonna pop the link on the chat, but we have a lot of sessions for residential and we're just so excited. Every day there's something going on for residential and we're gonna have this big coffee and conversations at our show, and we are actually gonna have a table for Spanish speaking audience, and I'll be sitting there with you guys.
Invite me.
Libby también. She will be there too. So, we just want to make sure that everybody understands and is inclusive. So, yeah, it won't be in Spanish, but we will be there to support you guys.
I'll be speaking on the new rules of hiring. So look me up. It's all things residential when I talk.
I put the link in the chat to the education sessions, and if
That's
you
what I
go
was
to that
looking
page,
for, Erin, on what day everybody was speaking. I was looking at my
you
emails.
click on filter and it brings up like the full if you click on filter there's filters underneath. I would say click on filter. You click attendee interest and you can select residential and it'll bring up every session.
Yes.
We have Libby Delusion speaking on Monday. We have Debbie, Libby, you're at 1:45, I think. Debbie, you're at 3.
Yep.
And then for those of you, I know several of you I recognize names, like I know James, you've been there before, but we have at 4:30 on Monday, we have our residential roundtables. There's always a happy hour on day one, but we have in a separate room our residential roundtables. This is something that we've done for the residential audience since they've been attending the show. What this is there's 3 rounds. They're about 30 minutes each. And so there will be moderators at each table with the table tent for what their topic is, who the moderator is. And you will, like I said, we have 3 rounds of 30 minutes. So you'll get to go to 3 different tables that will tell you when it's time to move. I don't know if Libby or James, you have any comments on our roundtables, because they are always like, I have gotten requests from people earlier in the week because they used to be Wednesday night and people would come to me and be like, no, I make these connections at the roundtable. I need to talk to people throughout the week. So they're Monday now.
James, do you have anything? You're muted, James.
No, I don't really have anything, but I do like to make the connections on Monday. I'm arriving the day before. The week really goes fast. Monday and Thursday are almost non-existent. It happens quick. So it's important to get your game plan on Monday or the day before.
And it's important to download the app and wear comfortable shoes.
Yes,
Yeah.
the app is really important, but those shoes, you will get your
The
steps
shoes
in
are
and
everything.
some. Yes. Especially because we have education in the classroom and then there is a small hike, but we're all in one building. It's super nice because we're at Mandalay Bay Convention Center now. So that way everything is in the building. Most people stay at those hotels. There's like 5 hotels connected to the Mandalay Bay and they're part of our room block. So if you go to ISSAshow.com, you can get to all the hotels. The classrooms are there. The networking is there. There's lots of restaurants and fun stuff around. Like James said, it goes so fast. So it is good to get a game plan. If you're going to the show, look for the residential track, download the app, mark the sessions you want to attend. We have, Alejandra, our morning networking at the Experience Hub every morning.
Yes, we do. We're looking forward to that. I'm so excited.
We'll have some of the speakers there. It's 10 to 10:30 every morning, and we're doing it in the Experience Hub. I love that we moved it to the Experience Hub. They have audio.
We have a microphone this year.
So that way we can talk to everybody, and we do giveaways. If you haven't been there before, a lot of our speakers offer us giveaways. It's super fun. You get to meet the speaker, network with your peers, and put your name in a drawing for the giveaways. So
Will that also be starting on Monday as well?
no, that's when the
on
show floor
Tuesday?
opens. That's
Tuesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Got it.
Thursday.
Got it.
And guys, make sure you're there because there's some great, great giveaways during that time.
There always is.
I think Erin wants to give away a membership.
I think Alejandra said we're going to give away a membership. That's the membership we're going to give away at our live coffee and conversation. For the attendees that come to the coffee and conversation, that is 11 a.m. on Tuesday this year.
We'll have some free cups from last year, ISSA Coffee and Conversation cups. I'll be hosting with Lacey, and we have a great panel on culture.
We have Molly Moran, Liana Spinner, and Carrie Merrill. Different size businesses, different locations, but they're going to talk about how important culture is to your business. And so they'll each do a small presentation, and there's a lot of Q&A, and then we'll go into a professional image awards for ISSA, and the Debbie Cleaning for a Reason awards will be there as well.
These
So,
are
yes, we have our ISSA residential coffee and conversation mug. We'll have mugs to give away. We'll have a Alejandro's going to be giving away a free membership for anybody that do a drawing for a free membership. We have a lot. Like if you haven't been to the show, we have a lot there. Alejandro, do you want to talk about coffee and conversation and masterminds, especially for some of our new members or new attendees?
Sure. Yeah, so we are gonna release the dates for 2026. I don't think they're up yet, right?
So this is the last coffee and conversation, correct, Alejandra, for the year?
Yes.
And we did our last mastermind already for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everything coming forward will be in 2026?
Yes. We really, really do encourage more people to join our masterminds because those are really great. And we really do talk about, the struggles that you guys are having, whether it's HR or operations or marketing. I know the last one we talked about marketing and people had different struggles. So I think it's great that we all come together and see how we can help each other.
Awesome. Are we ready to go to breakout rooms, Erin?
We can, or do we want
there's not many people left. There's a lot of readers here, but if we can just stay in one room, I'm not sure.
Stay here. I really encourage people, if you have access to Debbie Sardone, if you have any questions, I encourage you to do it. One of the first sessions I remember, they used to do state of the industry panels at the show. One of the things you talked about was the importance of knowing your numbers. That was part of why we wanted to do this, to help people end on the year. So many people don't know their numbers.
You can't reach your goals if you don't know where you're at today and the numbers to help you get to your goals. Everything is math in business. Business is math. And it doesn't have to be complicated math. I couldn't do algebra, but I can do 1 + 1 or 100 + 100. Math is the path.
I learned that from Debbie.
If there are any questions, feel free. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Either type them in the chat, business or otherwise, before we wrap up.
There was one comment in there from, did you talk about, Cindy had put in there a comment a little bit ago. She said they're a micro business, which means a lot of responsibilities land directly on leadership. And she said one of her challenges is procrastination syndrome.
I think procrastination is blamed on a lot of things, but oftentimes when we have too many things that we want to do and we haven't decided what to focus on, we procrastinate, right? Procrastination will drop significantly when you decide what 1 or 2 things to focus on. Everything else you can try not to procrastinate on. It's usually a lack of focus, right? When I have too many things I want to do, it's very easy not to start any of them. There's a book called The Art of Start. It's not a bad book for people to read who feel like they procrastinate. But I think just being overwhelmed and having too many things that we are wanting to do and too many things that we think we need to do, we haven't even narrowed down, but what do you need to do? A lot of people suffer with procrastination. In fact, everybody has procrastination right there under their fingernails. It is the habits, the intentions, the focus that keeps us from living in procrastination. And every one of us have areas of our lives that we procrastinate in. We just pick and choose which ones we don't. The proof is when there's a proverbial gun to your head, you always get it done, right? So we can procrastinate all week, but we might stay up till 2 a.m. figuring payroll because it's due tomorrow. We have to put the proverbial gun to our head by narrowing our focus.
Any other comments or challenges, questions?
No, I don't see any more in the chat.
Who's going to crush it with your goals in 2026? Say me. Who's going to crush it with your goals? Who's going to make sure you have a plan, a process, You surround yourself with the right people, the right environment, and you plan how you will celebrate each milestone. Who's going to do those things? Say me. And get the green jacket. That's
Darlene
right,
said she
Darlene.
can feel the green
She is
jacket.
going to be in that green jacket. That's our Mop-Free Millionaires green jacket that we award. Cindy says me. Right.
Just have
You
to follow through.
right. We all have to follow through, but make it easier to follow through. We make it so hard. We put all these obstacles in our way.
We
Before
love to
All right, guys.
overcomplicate everything.
We
Oh,
do.
wait. We love to over-engineer it
Mm-hmm. Right, which is a new way of saying overcomplicate. We
or
overcomplicate
change something that
everything.
works.
Yeah, let me just change what's already working. That's an entrepreneur for you. We find something that works really well and we change it. That's what we do.